Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name's Joe from About Going Blind, and this week we have our first guest. So for those of you that follow my other socials, Sophie is my sister-in-law and she is the first guest on this brand new series that I am trying out. Sophie has an Instagram page to, I think it's close to 30,000 followers, called Sophie Loves Running. So we talk about starting this, the reasons for starting this page, and she also has her business, which is called Outrunning. So this is a business that is looking to break into the women's sportswear market predominantly. So again, something that we cover. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's 25 minutes. I think a lot of you will find this really interesting. It's easy for me because I know Soph, but this is hopefully a taste of what's to come on the channel. So without further ado, roll video. Hello, Sophie. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much for having me on.
So for those of you that aren't aware, this is my sister-in-law, current owner of Outrunning, as featured on the channel, but also huge advocate for women running, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about you and how this all started.
So, actually, it's a really good time to talk because I was made redundant about a year ago. So that's really where it started. I had started posting my videos online about running, about starting running, and it gathered some traction. And after probably about 6 months, I had what would be classed, I think, as a fairly decent following. There was around 15,000 people there following along and watching me struggle whilst I was running. What happened after that was, come the following November, I was made redundant from my HR job. So I had quite a senior position as a HR person in a technology business, a job which I loved, would still say I loved it to today. But they needed to do things differently. And I actually created my own business case, which is, not the smartest thing to do, but the right thing to do. So I helped craft the conversation for my own role to be made redundant, which is what good HR people do. If you need if you need to be the one that goes, then you put your own name in the hat. And it felt quite serendipitous because only maybe 6 weeks before that happened, I was contacted by a marketing agent about my profile, about my Instagram, about social media. And it just felt like a converging, a crossroads, coming together, these things and going, you know what, take the jump, go into this, give it a go and see what that's about. So it felt like the right thing to do. And I thought, okay, let's give this a couple of months. Let's see where we're up to. And within 3 months, less than 3 months of signing with the marketing agent, they dropped me. So that was rubbish. And I felt really sad about it at the time because it didn't feel as serendipitous as I first thought it was. And it's not like it's a no hard feelings kind of situation. I absolutely get why they simply couldn't secure the work. And they're also running a business. So they basically took everything back towards the US, where they had other creators and a more lucrative market, I think. So yeah, like no hard feelings, but then I was left a little bit high and dry, not really knowing what to do next. Obviously contemplated going back to work properly. But the fact of the matter was I was enjoying being off. I was enjoying not being bossed by somebody. I was enjoying just being able to freely run. So I signed up for a 50k ultra, which, again, felt like the right thing to do. I kind of said, when am I going to get time to do this again? I don't know that that's going to be that soon, to have the time I would want to be able to run and train for a 50k. So I did that and left a huge portion of my soul in the South Downs. That was heartbreaking. And then it's kind of led us to here and deciding that actually, no, I really don't want to go back to work the way that I traditionally went to work. and plug the gap with my knowledge of running and women's bodies and how they change when we run and how they move when we run when you're not typically athletic. And still, even to this day, in 2025, I don't think anybody has nailed the running short for women, the double layered running short. It isn't perfect. And I genuinely have conviction in my gut that tells me that this can be done really well. It can be made here, it can be made in the UK, it can be made with sustainable fabrics. And that's kind of the journey that I'm taking my followers on right now. That I'm not going back to work as I have done, and I've set up this business as Out Running, and that's really where we are. We're building the business at the moment. It's not final. We've got socks and caps, and we've got some really nice, really high quality accessories, and we're waiting till January really to be able to speak to the factory down in London, for them to have time basically for me, and to be able to work on the samples and building the products that I really want to create.
So, I guess why running? Why not anything else?
This it's a really good question. There's no real reason. I was sat. This is no word of a lie. I was sat in our living room, and it was the 29th of December 2023, and I was sat. This is my daughter. He would be bringing her through. It was the 29th of December 2023, and I was sat on the settee going, "Oh God, I'd really like to be good at running." And Dan went, "Go on then." Go on then. And that day, so that evening, it was evening. The kids are in bed, so it was late. I put on my trainers and went for a run, and has been running ever since. I decided to post on Instagram. I posted. It was an accountability post. I know lots of people do this, and I will tell them it works. Like, if you post on Instagram and you tell people other than like your immediate circle that you're going to do something and stick to it, no one will hold you accountable quite like strangers on the internet. So it really does work. And when it stops being just family and friends who are following you, and then some stranger reaches out and goes, "You're doing amazing, like you're still doing it, you're 5 days in." I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm 5 days in, let's keep running. That is it. That has been the story of running. And I felt like running was easy to start, not very complicated, easy to fit around my life, can kind of do it anywhere. And we do have, and did have even back then, the benefit of a treadmill because Danny had one. So we had access. There was no barrier. Like when people say, "I can't do it because of X," the doors were just wide open for me. I was like, there's nothing stopping me, and I have no excuses not to do this.
Absolutely. So, and I think obviously you found your audience as well. You have obviously from the things that I've seen and what Liv's told me about like your groups and things like that, I think you've absolutely found your audience with those ladies. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like there is. Social media gets a really bad reputation, and there are people on there who are just there to pull you down. They're looking and waiting for you to fail and fall on your face. I haven't found those people, actually, they haven't found me. I am hiding somewhere in this corner of the internet where, my following is 95% women, which I do think accounts for some lack of meanness, because men can be mean to us sometimes about the way that we look. And I think they resonated with me trying to start. They have resonated with me juggling the girls. They resonated with just, it's being in that bit after having babies and going, I've just had enough now. And I've never used filters. I've never kind of done any wild edits to my videos, and I'm on stories with no makeup on, and I think it's just very normal. That's what I would say. I think it's just very normal. But yeah, I was I still say lucky. I posted all the time. Like, that was the point. Like, if you keep running, I had a run to post about. So I was like, okay, I'm going to post today's run. And if I didn't run, I didn't have a post for that day. So I was like, better go running then. Better go and get this running and tell these people how I'm doing. And then it's like 100 people and 500 people and then 1,000 people. And then you're like, holy shitballs. Like, there's 1,000 people in a room would be a lot of people. So yeah, that just kind of went from there. I think there's just people wanting a dose of normality. with not a
I
lot of
mean,
airs and graces.
yeah, because I mean, what is your most watched reel? Is it still the same
Oh,
one I'm thinking?
it's just me on a treadmill.
Is it? Oh, is it not? Is it not the one of Danny filming you
Oh, there
running
was
out?
that one. I'm not sure, but between one of those two, yeah, that was a really popular video, which was basically me running back. So I warned him that I rang him to tell him make sure the kids aren't on the downstairs toilet. That's what the call was for. And he knew why I needed the kids to be off the downstairs toilet. Because anyone will know that you don't test new gels. Like it's not
Yeah,
smart. You
no,
make sure you're at least within the proximity of the house.
yeah.
Thankfully, there was no real accident that day, but he did make sure he captured me sprinting down the driveway back into the house.
Oh,
The worst bit is why I didn't run to that door. You know the setup of my house. I should have ran to that
yeah.
door, like to get in fast. Instead, I ran
Just
round the
went round the
back.
back.
No,
Yeah.
doesn't
And
make it make
was
sense.
it?
Don't know.
Didn't he film you carrying that tree as well?
And the tree, that was
Is
on the
that?
other page.
Yeah.
On the
Oh,
other
yeah.
page, the home page. But yeah, this one, not that was a popular video. Yeah, we
Yeah.
love talking about our bowel movements as runners.
Yeah.
No, there's
But
no
obviously,
sensitive topics.
the realness again resonates with people, doesn't it?
I think
And
so. Yeah,
ultimately,
I think
I
so. That
think
seems
that's
to be what has kept people hanging around, watching my stories, just seeing what's happening. You become somebody that they ask for advice, which is a really interesting nuance because you don't feel like you have any helpful advice to give people. You're not an expert, you're not a nutritionist, you're not a coach, you're not a real runner. You're just
no, no.
someone scrambling to get out there for a run. So, but I think that is also part of it because the tips they want is just how are you making it work? What
Yeah,
are
yeah.
those tips? Like, how do you set yourself up for it that day? How do you make sure it happens? Because I think that's just half the battle.
And I think ultimately, like I say, it resonates with women. It resonates with women with kids. People people enjoy watching it
Yeah.
and seeing you doing well. Do you know what I mean? And that's
I think it's
um
bred this other side where, like, not. I think there's like the first bit where they're following and watching you running, but then in this phase where you're setting up the business and people are so invested in seeing
yeah,
other
yeah,
people be successful, which is really
yeah,
wild. You kind of think people are out there not really rooting for you, and that hasn't been my experience at all. I think
no,
the people are publicly and loudly praising my things in their own world. They're in our
yeah,
own
yeah,
Instagram, within their own running communities, just saying, "Oh, try this," or instead of buying those Lululemon socks, try these ones. Like, just try them.
yeah,
They're not really expensive. You might really like them. So, but I can show you who is making them,
yeah.
which you don't get with Lululemon
And
or
yeah,
Sweaty
and you
Betty
can
or
see,
any of those brands.
yeah, you can see the backstory of it all.
Uh
And I
huh.
think people like those brands as well. Do you know what I mean?
Of
That
course,
there are
yeah, yeah,
brands
yeah.
that have done really
They're
well.
big, well-known brands, and I think
Yeah,
that's it's a wild market to try and enter. But I'm not competing with those guys. They do
yeah,
fast, big, mass manufacturing from the Far East and have everything shipped. I want something that's more bespoke, that's made here, that doesn't contribute to the serious climate crisis that we have in the way that fast fashion, fast movement of goods do at the moment.
yeah,
And I want to be able to offer people the ability to return things when they've lost weight and they need a different size, and then they get a discount code for the next item, and the item they've returned, because it's been so well made, can be sold at a slightly cheaper price point, because we can
yeah,
then resell that for maybe someone who couldn't buy it at the highest price or the initial retail price. We've got a different entry point for the used
yeah,
items that they can then try before you buy type. Just
yeah, yeah,
thinking about things a little differently to how
yeah.
traditional business is done, and it might not work. I'm really alive to the fact it might not work, but I'm really willing to try.
Yeah, and I think even with like that kind of philosophy for women wanting to just get into running to start with,
Yeah.
like being able to buy something that's that good, that will give that much comfort and maybe encourage them to keep doing it, but
Yeah.
at a discount.
Yeah.
to start with, that will then help their journey as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I think people do like brands and companies that they do know a backstory to,
Mm-hmm.
where obviously there's some like out there now, like Arn in Manchester. They were like settled by two lads from
Yeah.
Manchester,
Yeah.
and people like that story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely think it can work. I've
I
obviously
think people are
tested
just
the
looking for a
quality.
bit of
So
connection, you know? I think they
mm,
want, I think they would really love to say I was part of something, even if it didn't
yeah,
really become something that was really viable. Like Dan and I have talked about this. It might be something that we might be able to do for a few years, and we'll go, wow,
yeah,
what a great few years that was. You know, like I think sometimes I think people might believe that you go into business wanting it to be massive and mega and world changing. Like that's not really my view for this. I want something that's community led, and there are a group of people who really like what I do, and that's enough for a period of time to show that I can run a successful business, and I get to tick that box. I can tick that box
yeah,
for myself and say I tried it and I did it and it was successful. But I'm hoping that it will lead me on to the treadmill hubs. You know, that's what I really want to do. I don't think clothing has the ability to really change people's lives in that way. I think it can
yeah,
motivate a little bit. You get that new bit of kit and it feels fancy, and it, you know, you want to get out and try it out. But I think
hmm,
for to really be able to change the way people feel about their body, the way that they move, their commitment to that, like those hubs, like having people and their ability, and it's like the same way that Peloton would sound silly having people cycling indoors. They don't have anything like that up here. You know, we don't have
yeah,
treadmill hubs. And I know, because I am one of those people, that you don't always have access to a treadmill at home. People would love to have one at home, but we don't have big houses in the UK. We
yeah,
have small, like most of the people have terraces, you know, terraces,
yeah,
semi-detached. Like we don't live in big properties where you then have, you know, like I think like my American counterparts, their houses are bigger. They do
yeah, yeah,
tend to have more square footage, you know, for their living space. So, you know, there's hair wash day to consider. There's dark nights. There's 6 months of the year that people stop running. Women stop running
yeah,
because they can't get
hmm,
out at a time when it's daylight hours. So my business case is being built for that. But the more I meet people, the more conviction I have in it that I think there's
yeah,
space. I think there's room for something like this because people want to work out, they want to run. Yes, they love running outdoors, but actually I'm also finding that people don't love running outdoors. They like being somewhere safer than that, and that
which
doesn't exist right
yeah,
now. It definitely doesn't
well, that's
exist up
really
here.
sad.
Yeah,
Isn't it? Do you know what I mean? We've got
yeah,
four girls between us,
yeah.
and to know that nowadays, and I think you've opened my eyes to that
Mhm,
with obviously the catcalling on your
mhm.
runs and stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like the it's like you've always compared it to Danny,
yeah.
and Dan can go out any time of day,
I mean, he goes
no
out at
issues.
10 p.m. He
Yeah.
goes out at 4 a.m. Like, he doesn't
Whereas,
worry about it. You
yeah,
know what he gets mad about? He gets mad about people in his way if there's a car. He's not worrying that someone's getting out of the car to do something. He's like, they're in my way. I'm running down a
yeah,
country road at 4 a.m. Why is there a car? My panic that would be, I'm running down a country road at 5 a.m. Why is there a car? Like, it's
yeah,
the conversation in here is so different.
yeah, and it's crazy that we are in this day and age, and
Oh,
it's
it's
still a
so a
worry.
thing. Yeah.
It's still scary.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, if you can create that safe space, then
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And
Yeah,
it keeps people disciplined with it. And a
yeah,
lot of people, but again, it's a demographic thing. It's the people who I'm speaking to, and these are women who are older than over 30. They don't feel like they fit in a traditional gym. They definitely don't want to be working out around men. Generally, again,
yeah,
it's a generalization, but they don't want to be seen there. Like I'm just not bothered about the male gaze in any way, and I think
yeah.
it's really unfair to think that all men go to the gym to look at women. They don't. But
No,
by the same token, women don't want to be seen. They just want to get on with their workout and be left to
yeah,
it. And they know for certain they'll get to be left to it if there's only other women around them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's about feeling confident as well. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, there is always this
yeah,
stigma about how women look and
yeah.
what to wear. And
I think
do you
so.
know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's
So yeah,
yeah, it's not big, it's not brash. It's just these small locations that have a treadmill you can book. It means you don't have to
yeah,
invest in your own. You can come and use
yeah,
it as and when you need to. You can book yourself on like you book a calendar slot. Like I
yeah,
just see that there's the flexibility that people would need. I have desires to have almost not a creche, but like a space where older children can sit, because having parental responsibility stops a lot of people again. So it'd have to have a
yeah,
cap. It'd probably like age 6 and up, something like that, where kids are pretty
yeah,
self
yeah,
sufficient for half an hour.
yeah.
But there's avenues to it that just aren't being done at the moment, and I think it stops
No,
people being able to continue with it.
yeah. Because I mean, there's a massive thing out there of like weight gyms, and do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
again, centered towards men and stuff like that. So yeah, um, absolutely more power to you. And I'm sure there'll probably be another Instagram page set up with a shitload of followers.
I probably
That
should be reserving a handle at this point. Like my future focus brain is going, damn, what is that going to be? I could probably still use the same one, but
yeah,
yeah,
probably.
I'm running
But
somewhere.
yeah, another one to take over Danny.
Yeah, just something.
Yeah,
I mean, we like playing this
yeah,
game.
yeah. I know. It's quite funny. I loved watching it. Danny's measly 18,000.
It's growing. He's had some good posts recently, so
Oh
credit to
god.
him for still
Yeah, but again,
trucking.
that's you filming him.
His good videos and my ideas. In fairness, the
Yeah,
Jake Paul one recently, that was all him. But yeah,
right.
we get some good footage. I got one of him
Yeah.
tonight, to be fair, so watch out for that one.
Right. So we'll wrap this up
Okay.
with one question that I want to
Yeah.
ask all guests.
Okay.
What's the biggest adversity challenge that you faced personally, professionally, as a mum, as a wife?
Like now that you say it, there's so many threads to this. Like if you left it as a mum, like
Yeah,
different adversities to the as a wife. Like I watch my husband get punched in the face for a living, so that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but I know we've talked about this before over dinner. Like there's choice. That's a choice. He for whatever
yeah,
reason is choosing to get punched in the face. The same as like choosing to have kids, and you
yeah, yeah,
roll with the punches that come with having
yeah,
kids. But like real adversity, like I have always counted my stars. We've had people in like my childhood where I saw how difficult their life was through no
yeah,
fault of their own. It was just how they were born. It was just a condition that they had. And I've always felt like that's been like my marker. Like, well, is it as bad as how they have it? It's not so pick up and get on. It doesn't mean, it doesn't diminish someone's challenges. They're like being made redundant were really shit. Being
yeah,
sacked from the marketing agency were really shit, but it's really not that shit in the grand scheme of things. I can still go out and try and get a job. I can still I can pick myself up. I've always been that person that I think there's always someone else who has it worse off, so just get a grip. So it's just I think it's the way it is.
yeah,
But I think everybody does. You go in peaks and troughs of things that are good and bad. We see this that's happened with you, and again, that is well, it's not what Joe's dealing with, so get a grip. We're okay. Like
yeah.
we need to just keep on.
But yeah, I think obviously it's nice to be able to look back and say, well, it was shit getting made redundant, but look what came out of it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we're
So
still trying that
yeah,
bit. We are not. Maybe in like 5 years. Maybe in 5 years we can go.
yeah,
It
but
still feels like the right thing though. I was
yeah,
talking to my mum about this. It still feels like I don't want to be going back to a corporate world like that. I value my time
no,
too much. And you're working
yeah,
for someone else's goal. You're working for
yeah,
their
yeah,
dream, which is great for them. But what are your own? Like what are your own? Where do you
yeah,
want to be? What do you want to do? And I've never felt my time is more valuable than especially the kids being as young as they are and growing mega quick. And they're not going to want to spend any time with me in the next 5 years. So, like, once that's done, they're going to get less and less, like, more distant. That's what kids do. So I think now the intensity of this time is really nice.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I'm sure you'll smash it.
Can we come for dinner next week?
Well, you haven't been for weeks.
Well, we
You have to invite your parents on Sunday.
We
Because we were lonely.
They filled our seat. They are not coming next week. They can go back home and we can come back for dinner. I'll have beef.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem. I will sort that out for you. But thank you, and I will see you on Sunday.
Thanks for having me on. Yes,
No worries.
Sunday for a roast.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. Again, like I've said over on my other socials, please follow along to find out some more guests who are going to be coming on the channel. And I'm hoping to turn this into a permanent fixture, something that runs alongside my other videos. And basically, I would like to have guests on that I find interesting and that I believe I can have a good conversation with. And hopefully you will too. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.